I'm going to go through the original Sidereal Zodiac, which was the original Sumerian Zodiac, which contained 18 constellations. Each of these has its own article that will be breaking down their name and the meaning and what we can derive from that astrologically in later articles and videos. First and foremost, it's important to know that this initial mul means star or constellation. Here it's used as a silent determinative to let you know that the following word is the name of a constellation or star. So mul means the star constellation or many stars or star cluster, which refer to the Pleiades in the constellation of Taurus. Mulguanna, which means bull of heaven, which is obviously Taurus. Gufor is bull, wild bull in particular. An is the god of the sky or the sky itself. Again, we see the reduplication of this ocelot. You can also read this, the bull of An, which we will talk about in that article. Mul Sipa Ziana, the true shepherd of Anu. Sipa is right here, which means shepherd. Si means true or faithful. Again, An is the supreme celestial deity. Na is the possessive in this case. Mul Shugi. Shugi means elder, old man, and it refers to the deity known as Enmeshada, which can be found in the constellation of Perseus. Mul Gam or Mul Zubi. Gam means the shepherd's crook. Zubi basically means the same thing, and the shepherd's crook can now be found in the constellation of Auriga. Mulmash Tabagalgal, the great twins, Lugalira and Meshlamtai, which are now in Gemini. Here we have the word for one half, which can also mean twin, but here we have the word Tab, which means both, so both twins, not just one of them. Ba, again, we really can just pretend this little B is not here. It's Tab-A. This is a little spelling trick that the Sumerians and Akkadians and Babylonians like to do. Gal means great or big. When we see something like that, like an adjective reduplicated, it's really just trying to create a plural for us. It can also just mean that they're really great and really important and really big. That's also an option. Mul-Alul, the deceptive digger, now the constellation of Cancer. It's very important to understand that many people translate this as pinchers or crab. There is no evidence that it was ever a crab or had any type of pinchers. So this obviously is the mul determinative. This word al means hoe, pick, axe, any type of digging instrument, a spade. And the lul sign means deception, wickedness, lying, just generally malicious, malevolent, all of those things. If you have strong Cancer in your chart, this does not mean that you are a bad person. Just this little image that it depicted was a deceptive digger. Do we know exactly what kind? Probably something that had some sort of spade for hands, which the most obvious animal is probably going to be a turtle. Next, we have Urgulla or Mul Urmach. Again, this is Mul, the silent determinative, letting us know this is a constellation. The word for Gula, we can interpret this a few different ways. We're going to see it again down here when we talk about Aquarius. Here, Gula is translated as the Great One. What we're really seeing is the word Gal being kind of manipulated into two different signs, likely over time. And we know that in this case because the word Mah also means great or exalted. Ur means lion, but it can also mean dog or beast. And so we get Urgula or Urmah, great carnivore, great lion, great beast, exalted dog, however you want to say it. Next, we have Mul Absin, also written Mul Absin. Here we have the Ab sign. Here's the Sin 2 sign. Together they mean furrow or seed furrow. If you tilt your head to your left, you will see that this sign right here kind of looks like a vial, maybe like a glass beaker. This is indicating an open vessel. Originally, Sumerian was written from top to bottom, kind of like Japanese. Over time, they took it and they tilted it towards the left, towards your left. Yes, towards your left. And so if you want to see what some of these images look like, you can sometimes tilt your head a little bit and look at them a different way, and they start to make a little bit more sense. Keep in mind, these characters developed over thousands and thousands of years, and I'm just using the standard Unicode versions of these characters. But this Ab being a vessel or an open space kind of tells you what it means. It's an opening, an empty space. And then the Sin 2 sign, by the way, these little accent marks on here, if they're pointing to the right, it means it's the second reading of the word. And if it's pointing to the left, it's telling you that it's the third reading. Everything after 3 just gets a little number in subscript, which is what this 4 is. This Sin 2 or Seam is the Nam sign, and it means fate or area of responsibility, destiny, a lot of different things, which is a recurring theme. A lot of the signs mean a lot of different things. And here we just have the actual seed furrow obscene. Next, we have Mul Ziba Anna and Mul Nish Erin, which translate as scales. Z is true, Ba is portion, and Anna can mean of the sky. But in Akkadian, this reads Zibanitu, which means scales. But if we look at the Sumerian version, we definitely get more divine celestial meaning. There's definitely the financial element to it with this correct allotment in sky. Mul Nish Erin is another Akkadianism. Nish means tree or wood. Erin means people or person. But really, we're just rendering this again, scales. We've seen it rendered balance, but Zibanatu is literally scales, and that is Libra in the lower portion of Virgo. Mul Hirtab, here by itself can be scorpion, but means blade or knife, dagger, something sharp that stings you, stabs you. Well, Tab is the number 2, can also mean to sting, and Hirtab together is scorpion. And here, this is obviously the constellation of Scorpio and the legs of Ophiuchus. Mul Pabil Sang, I've seen this written a number of different ways. You'll usually see this version of Pa, but it's more appropriately written with the Pop sign, which means chief. Still, the Pa sign means branch or stick, and it can refer to an elder's stick or staff or a chieftain's staff. The Bil sign means to burn or to roast. And if you can tilt your head to the side and use your imagination, it's depicting a brazier, which were used in rituals. And finally, we have the Sang sign, which means head. It can mean the actual head of the body, as well as the crown, or it can mean the head of a group, as in the leader. Even with just the Pa sign instead of the Pop sign, we still get a connection to the natural world and the spiritual world. And Pabal Sang is the head and leader of both in the constellation of Sagittarius. Mul Suhurmash, or Mul Suhur Mashku, is the goatfish or Capricorn. The Suhur sign probably depicts a bunch of fish being hung up for sale or for transport. The Mashtu sign means goat, and Ku6 means fish. We get the sense of abundance from the Suhur sign, which we will definitely talk about in detail when we talk about Capricorn in a later video. Kind of already mentioned Gula. Instead of being written Gal, which wouldn't be very interesting, right? We have Gula. The Gu sign, this one being used, means thread, string, net, or rope, while the La sign means wealth and abundance. It can also mean desire and lust. The net and the string themselves can be associated with wealth and creativity. And so we have an abundance of those wrapped up in Aquarius. Mul Kunmesh and Mul Zibme both referred to the tails, in particular, of the great swallow Simma, which we will talk about down here. Kun can mean the tail of something, but it also means an outlet, usually referring to water, like the outlet of a canal. Mesh is a determinative indicating plural. So in this case, outlets. Zib means mark, sometimes haunch, or the back end of something. And May is another silent determinative indicating a plural. And so the tails of the great swallow relate to the western fish of Pisces. Mul Simma, this again is the Nam sign, but here it's written Sim in Akkadian, or pronounced Sim. And Mach means great or exalted. Here again, we see the Nam sign that we saw earlier up here, and obscene. Here it's rendered Sim, which means swallow, as in the type of bird. So this is the exalted swallow. And that is Southwest Pisces, Epsilon, and Pegasi. Then we have Mul Anunitum. This is actually very interesting. This tomb right here, which, if you care, depicts the legs and thighs and buttocks of a person, likely a female, considering that this is a feminine indicator in Akkadian. This is the word for A, which means water or semen. This is Nu, which by itself usually means no, but here it's being rendered for a name. Same thing with Ni. So this is Anunitum, meaning the goddess Anunitum, and Mululim, which in Akkadian refers to a red deer. In this constellation, it's referring to as the stag, which was probably located, or at least the legs were located, in the current constellation of Andromeda. But what's very interesting about this tomb, we have different readings of the word tomb. Here you can see the one that we saw, the little legs and buttocks here. This word can mean work, action, crossbeam, quiver for arrows. It's also the Akkadian feminine suffix. as I said, but when we consider some of the homonyms or different readings of the same syllable, such as Tum 12, we see that it means wild dove. Tum 12, Mushen Ku, we want to put these in here, also means fish. It's probably not a coincidence that one fish of Pisces is clearly a bird, and the other one, even though it's listed as Anunatum, a goddess, the word for tum can mean dove or fish. Probably not a coincidence, right? And finally, we have Muluhunga, which translates literally as hired man. Lutu is man. Hung means to hire. A is the nominalizing suffix. And this G with the little mark on it is just the reduplicated Osla. And we find this where we now have Aries, Triangulum, and the head of Ketis. Over time, these 18 constellations were reduced to the 12 zodiac signs you're probably familiar with. Those same 12 Babylonian zodiac signs were adopted by the Greeks and transmitted to India via trade routes.